Hey everybody, Mark Johnson here, founder and creative director of Able Abe Studios, back again with another episode of It's Go Time, episode 23. In today's episode, I share with you my writing routine. Like I mentioned, today's episode, I'm going to share with you my writing routine. Let me just preface this with, I am not a professional writer. Do I have aspirations for something like that? Get published, write a screenplay, win an Oscar? Yeah, I got aspirations like that. But whatever, it starts somewhere. So, this is my journey. This is part of my journey. So I'm just kind of documenting it, giving you an idea of what I do. Outside of making videos for YouTube and creating artwork, I do some writing. And so the process that I use to do writing, it's pretty simple. My daily routine consists of a number of different things, but as the goal or the discipline I'm trying to create for myself in this month of July is the ability to write every single day. This first week of July wasn't necessarily a success. For those of you who've seen my most recent videos this last week, you saw what I was talking about. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out. Whether it was a timing thing or if it was just not being able to protect my time, from not necessarily people selfishly intruding on my time, but you know how people are. You know how friends and family can be. They just kind of are. They just do, right? So this past week wasn't a good attempt at trying to write every day. Hopefully this week will be a better attempt, and I can continue the rest of the month writing every single day. So just kind of give you an idea of what my writing routine looks like is I don't necessarily have a specific time squared away. I know in my discipline video I talked about blocking out an amount of time, but for me writing is a little more how would I say, difficult to kind of block and say I'm gonna write this time. So I just kind of allow myself the ability to let the day pass and realize and know that I need to write something by the end of the day. And I usually find myself writing or feeling more in the mix around the evening, say so after 4, later into the evening, or if not into the night. I just kind of feel a little more comfortable getting in front of my, getting my pen and my pad and writing. If I'm just kind of writing a single piece, I kind of let the day inspire me. I sit in front of my window and just kind of look out the window and just kind of go from there and just kind of write. My favorite places to write, if I'm not writing in the studio, is a coffee shop. I love writing in a coffee shop because you never know what to expect in the sense of people coming in and coming out, or the people that you might run into. And I think that also helps inspire me. I think also the anonymity of being in a coffee shop, like anyone could be there. It's a free place to stay. In the summer it's nice because it's always cooler there. In the winter it's nice too because it's a lot warmer. It smells like coffee. It's just a nice place to kind of disappear and do some writing. The utensils that I use to write is really, really simple. I just use a pen and a notebook of paper. I think I learned that process through one of the interviews that I saw Quentin Tarantino give when he was talking about his process. Someone asked him about his process, and he used, to start, he just uses a pen and paper and kind of fills up a notebook. He'll kind of go back through and kind of with a red pen or a colored pen just to kind of make some notes on things that he's read. I know that in another video or interview he talked about how he would just go to a coffee shop or go to a space where he can kind of just be himself and write for an hour or two, and come home and just kind of let the rest of the day go by. And if that scene or that that setup that he's kind of written while he spent in the coffee shop kind of still resonates with him, he'll slowly integrate that into the entire script, or if it's an idea that he's working with. And so I kind of just adopted that same process. I write with the pen. I write my whole story out, whatever it may be, in a notebook, and then at a certain point I'll come back and type it out. I do that so that it's just more legible, so when I do get readers to read, it's not a question of what's that say. They have to read my own pen write, because I know when I'm writing I'm either writing the fast, or maybe I'm doing a little shorthand, or I'm just kind of like, well, I'll fill that in later. And so when I get back to the typing part of it, I was like, okay, this is what I was talking about, and maybe something that I can, that's resonating with me at that time, I can use it to fill that gap or that portion in that story. From there, once I've got it written out and I retyped it, the next step is really to edit it. So I take the time to kind of go through it myself. Does it still sound good? Does this sound like a good story? And I'm asking myself those kind of questions. Does this sound right? Is this spelled right? Is this dialogue good? Is this setup good? I'm kind of asking myself those questions as I'm going through the editing process. What can I take out? What can I let go of? Or what can I phrase a little bit better, or a little more poetically? The editing process can be brutal sometimes, because a lot of the time when you're first writing, everything sounds good, and even when I get to the typing part of it, I am still doing a little bit of editing. But I realized that at a certain point, I got to be able to have it fit whatever I'm working with. So yeah, that's kind of my writing process. I think it's pretty simple and straightforward. I don't do anything really tricky, or I don't, try to make myself sound better than I am. I'm just kind of a regular guy trying to work this writing thing out. And I think with my, goal to build a discipline of writing every single day, I believe at a certain point I'll, continually get better. Obviously I need people to kind of read it and give me some feedback, honest and good feedback, whether or not it's, hurtful to me or not. I need to have good, solid feedback so I can know if this stuff will resonate with other people other than just myself. So that's one of the tricky things that I'm finding, because I never really got to this point previously. Obviously professors may be reading it, and so it's just really one person, maybe a friend or a family member. But now I'm trying to get different audiences to kind of check out my work and kind of give me some honest feedback. So yeah, hopefully this process can be helpful to you if you're a writer, or you're aspiring to be a writer. With anything that you're trying to do, it's always about repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is your reputation, as they say. So I'm trying to build that up. So whatever it is you're trying to work on, you got to do it a lot and over and over and over, so that you can kind of work through the little things that actually turn into big things. So yeah, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, definitely subscribe. If you are doing anything creative, be it writing, be it drawing, painting, that's kind of really a process, share that with me in the comment box below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what your process is, for whatever creative endeavor that you're working on. I'd like to see how things kind of cross over, and kind of see maybe the certain little intricacies of certain directions, be it like painting, or maybe even dance, or whatever it may be. So leave those in the comment box below. I'd love to start a conversation with you. And yeah, like we always do this time, have a blessed day. See you on the flip side. Let's go.